Hey, it's Miss Pritzel, and I'm book talking a realistic fiction book called The Last to Let Go. The author is Amber Smith, and this would probably fall into, it's definitely a serious book about traumatic experiences and domestic violence, so this is a book that may make some people cry. I think the ball of twine all knotted up is a good example of what's going on. So, our main character is Brooke, and Brooke is a junior in high school. And the book starts out with Brooke's mother has just murdered Brooke's father. And this has happened as a result of years and years and years of domestic violence. And her mother finally cracking. And the kids actually witnessed this happening. The other thing is that her father was also a police officer, so it makes the situation even more tense than it would normally be. So there's three siblings. Brooke has an older brother who's 19 and hasn't really been living at home, but she also has a younger sister who is definitely at an age where she still needs a lot of care. And so Brooke and the younger sister go to live with the mom's former best friend, who has a very nice living situation, and Brooke feels like she just feels like she does not belong in this situation, and she is desperate to get what's left of her family back together, which means her older brother, who is old enough that he could become their guardian, herself and her younger sister back into the apartment where they've grown up and where this tragic event happened. So what's interesting about this is, of all three of the kids who've lived through traumatic life experiences, Brooke had an escape plan, and it's been get good grades, get into a good college, get out of here. And yet she is the one who's trying desperately to hold this family together when it's really just kind of falling apart at the seams for many, many reasons. And so having not personally experienced what Brooke has had to experience, I'm kind of like, at times I'm like, don't you get that you're in a good situation? But she's not. She's desperately trying to hold on to something, and you sit there and go, why? But if you haven't lived her experiences, you probably won't understand. And it's appropriately named, she is the last of the siblings to let go of this idea of trying to hold everything together, because throughout this, her trying to pull her siblings together and maintain some sense of what in her mind is normalcy, is her mother's trial, and whether her mother should plead guilty or not for a lesser sentence type thing. And it's just a book that deals with domestic violence is the topic, but it's really about the aftermath of domestic violence, and the victims are not always the one who's been abused, because these kids have witnessed abuse over the years. So it is a really good book, and I'm very interested. Amber Smith has another book, The Way I Used to Be, which is one of the books that's next on my reading list, because I did really like this book. It dealt with some difficult topics, and I did get angry at the main character, but that's okay, because books are a way that you can get into the head of a character whose life experiences you wouldn't normally understand, and you may not always agree with what that character does, but you start to understand why they do things that they do. And that helps you understand humankind in general overall, that we don't always understand, we don't always think logically, and we don't always do things, like sometimes we're ruled by things that have happened in our past, and that's exactly what's going on with Brooke. Her past has defined how she reacts to things, and the plan she has to get out kind of falls apart when her mother kills her father, and everything starts to fall apart at that point. So I really, like I said, if you like realistic fiction that deals with real difficult topics and trying to understand other people's perspective and get into the head of other people, I think this is an excellent book. And like I said, I'm really looking forward to reading Amber Smith's other book, like The Way I Used to Be. So I hope you will come if you like realistic fiction or other books. I'd love to recommend books. So check this one out or come in and I'll help you find something else because it's my job to keep everybody reading.